Story tonight, death in the desert. Heavy rain causes flooding and disaster just north of Los Angeles. We'll have the latest on casualties.
And then all you have to do is look to the sky for something that has not been seen in 60,000 years. We'll have a live report. Plus, a woman with a history of mental problems lead police on a bizarre stop-and-go pursuit.
And pandemonium breaks out when a man aims a gun at television cameramen during a news conference. Good evening, I'm Hal Fisher.
And I'm Lynette Romero.
Heavy rains triggered by thunderstorms pounded the Mojave Desert and caused deadly flash floods. 3 people were killed when a car was swept off the road in 29 Palms. That downpour began in the morning and it did not stop until the afternoon, flooding streets and causing dangerous driving conditions. Now, the flash floods hit in 29 Palms and near Joshua Tree National Park. The nearby community of Yucca Valley has also been hit with heavy rain. And for the latest on this deadly storm, let's go live to Patricia Del Rio in 29 Palms. Patricia.
Well, the people who live here say they've seen flash floods come through before, but never anything like this. The main part was at around 2:30. It lasted for about 45 minutes, and they say that the thunder sounded like bombs going off. In the end, 3 people were killed when one car flipped over, and another person was killed in a separate car accident. The raindrops were as big as golf balls. The roads became rivers and mudslides were everywhere. The storm cell moved through the 29 Palms area like a freight train. And with the storm came tragedy. A car is flipped upside down in a wash that has become a raging river. Rescuers try to feel for bodies inside. 2 sisters in their 30s and a 14-year-old daughter of one of the women tried to cross the wash, but the car became stalled. A 28-year-old man who is a friend of the family is witnessing it and tries to help. He gets one of the women out and they bring the 14-year-old girl safely to land, but they go back in to save the driver and the car flips. The man and the woman are swept away and the woman driver inside dies trapped in the car. The 14-year-old girl is hysterical as rescuers try to find the bodies miles away, and the grandmother, the mother of the 2 adult women who died in the car, is in shock.
I have 2 daughters, and one was that were both in the car. One got out, but she was trying to help her sister, and the car, I guess, flipped over on them. And we don't know where she is. The other one is in the car.
By nightfall, the driver of the car's body is pulled from the car, but the other 2 bodies are still not yet found. Now back here live, you're looking at a live picture of what is the wash. It's pretty hard to imagine. This is about 10 or 12 feet deep, and this was filled to the top with water, just raging through it, and it went through so quickly that now it's completely bone dry. They are looking for the bodies. It started about a half mile from here, and they think the 2 bodies may still be several miles away. But as we said in the piece, the 38-year-old woman who was inside the car, her body has been found, but the 36-year-old, the mother of that 14-year-old you saw in the piece, she has not yet been found, nor has the 28-year-old man who tried to save them and died as well. Live in 29 Palms, Patricia Del Rio, KTLA News.
Hurricane Ignacio weakened to tropical storm force before hitting land in La Paz, Mexico today. Ignacio's center was located 70 miles south of Laredo near the Gulf of the California coast. The storm brought pounding rains, which caused flooding and mudslides that washed out roads. Nonetheless, many residents began returning to their homes after spending 2 nights in shelters. However, tourists have not fared quite as well. Many have been stranded in Los Cabos due to overcrowding caused by canceled flights.
A close encounter of the Martian kind has many people seeing red tonight, specifically the red planet Mars. In just a few hours, Mars will make its closest approach to Earth since the Ice Age 60,000 years ago. Right now, let's go live to Ted Garcia with all the Mars watchers in Griffith Park. Ted?
I can tell you it's like a huge lawn party out here at the Gene Autry Museum. Literally thousands of men, women, and children looking to the east, hoping to catch a glimpse of the red planet. The sun was still out as the setups began. Hundreds of professional and amateur astronomers staked out their little parcels of land on the south lawn of the Gene Autry Museum in Griffith Park. Their telescopes pointed toward the southeast sky. Why?
Because Mars has not been this close since 60,000 years.
And scientists say we won't see the red planet this close again until the year 2287. So to actually see this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Tony Meneses brought his wife and 2 sons.
I was watching the news and they said that you'd be able to view Mars and like from Griffith Park, and that they were going to have their free telescopes out here. So that's why we decided to bring the family.
There's always been a certain mystery about the 4th planet from the sun. Hollywood has churned out dozens of Mars movies over the years, many of them involving aliens or Martians that are on a mission to invade planet Earth. So why the fascination?
It's one of the red planets that has the possibility of having lives on it. We're still looking and still looking. Could be water and could be lives.
Maybe a little green man?
Maybe a little green man.
By nightfall, hundreds of people had set up camp, hoping to get a good look at Mars and its polar ice caps. The best time, though, will be in the middle of the night. So you might want to set your alarm for 3 a.m. And if you don't want to get up in the middle of the night, that's okay, because we're told by the scientists that Mars will be visible for the next 6 weeks in the night sky. We're live tonight at Griffith Park. Back to you in Hollywood.
Nearly 8 months after Space Shuttle Columbia was lost over Texas, an independent investigating commission has released its official report on the disaster. Sonia Diener has details from Washington.
In 4 simple words, the foam did it.
It was always the prime suspect, now confirmed. The final report on the Columbia disaster says a 2-pound piece of foam insulation flew off during liftoff, damaging Columbia's left wing, allowing superheated gas to fill the shuttle when it re-entered the atmosphere. The 248-page report says falling foam has been a problem for years, but NASA assumed it was harmless.
NASA had conflicting goals of cost, schedule, and safety, and unfortunately safety lost out in a lot of areas.
In fact, the report says NASA's attitude towards safety has improved little since the Challenger disaster in 1986. NASA promises to make changes.
And never let something be explained away simply because we've seen it before.
The shuttle program has been grounded since the February 1st accident. The next launch is tentatively scheduled for March. In Washington, Sonia Diener, KTLA News.
On the political scene today, California members of the AFL-CIO urge voters to, as they put it, terminate the recall of Governor Gray Davis. In a gathering in Manhattan Beach, some union members held up anti-recall signs and shouted, "No recall." But they also endorsed Lieutenant Governor Cruz Bustamante in case Davis should be ousted in the recall election. And Governor Davis also spoke at the meeting.
When we beat this recall, I'll become the first governor in this state to be elected 3 times to serve 2 terms as governor.
Labor leaders say their no on recall, yes on Bustamante campaign is the best way to keep a Democratic governor in office. They also held up a photo showing Republican challenger Arnold Schwarzenegger hugging former Republican Governor Pete Wilson, and they shouted, "No repeat." Los Angeles City Councilman Antonio Villaraigosa was also out today expressing his opposition to the recall election. He was among Democratic leaders who said the recall would cost California taxpayers as much as $66 million. Money, he said, that could be spent on health care, education, and social services.
And in Beverly Hills, the First Lady of California, Sharon Davis, urged the state's women to vote no on the recall. Davis appealed to women voters on Women's Equality Day. This is the 83rd anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. Mrs. Davis says the recall is, quote, a federal movement to remove Democrats from office. Meanwhile, Republican candidate for governor Tom McClintock launched his television ad campaign today.
And the advances.
California used to be the Golden State. Taxes were low, jobs were plentiful. Tom McClintock was there.
I lived in that state once. I remember that state. You remember that state. It was real.
Now California stands at a turning point.
In his 60-second television ad, McClintock compared California's past of low taxes and high employment with the present. The commercial also includes McClintock's pledges to reduce electricity prices, cut workers' compensation costs by 2/3, and rescind the car tax increase.
Arnold Schwarzenegger has hired fundraisers to bring in additional money for his campaign. The Los Angeles Times reports some of the funds are coming from developers and others with a stake in state policy decisions. Now, the critics claim Schwarzenegger has broken his pledge to run as a political outsider, which he said he would do, intent on keeping special interests out of his campaign. Let's go live to Ron Olson in the LA Times newsroom with this exclusive report on Arnold Schwarzenegger's campaign. Ron?
Well, he says he's a political outsider, Hal, but more and more the Times reports Schwarzenegger's outsider image is coming into conflict with the reality of his campaign.
Arnold Schwarzenegger told Californians he would put them first, that he would not be influenced by contributions from special interest groups.
As you know, I don't need to take any money from anybody. I have plenty of money myself. I will make the decisions for the people.
But now the Times reports Schwarzenegger has been raising money aggressively from leaders in various industries, including agriculture, technology, and real estate. Schwarzenegger, the Times reports, has donated about $2 million to his campaign, but he has also hired Republican fundraisers to bring in more. Republican Tom McClintock fired off the charge that Schwarzenegger is, quote, getting money from every special interest in the state, including some of the biggest developers in California. But Schwarzenegger's camp defends the fundraising. The Times' Joe Matthews.
The argument seems to be is that they're taking money. The distinction Schwarzenegger is now making is that he's taking money from individuals and corporations, but he's not promising anything in return.
If the fundraising appears to be in contradiction with his earlier statements, there is something else Schwarzenegger seems to have flip-flopped on.
He said he wasn't going to go negative, but he's going negative against Bustamante because he's behind.
It was Schwarzenegger who called Cruz Bustamante Gray Davis with a receding hairline and a mustache. Schwarzenegger's people say it was just a joke. But the comment, the fundraising, and the political insiders that are running his campaign are all leading to questions about a candidate who says he's an outsider.
Now, it was just last week when Arnold Schwarzenegger said, quote, I am not taking money from anyone, end quote. So far, the Times reports he has collected at least $1.4 million from outside sources. That is the very latest from the news desk here at the Los Angeles Times. Back to you.
And turning to Iraq now, 2 more American soldiers were killed today. But President Bush promised a veterans group today that the United States will not retreat. KTLA Washington correspondent Grant Rampey has the latest from the Pentagon.
Well, 1 soldier died in a traffic accident today. Another was ambushed. That brings the Pentagon's official death toll for the war in Iraq to 278. That number, though, does not tell the whole story. American soldiers still fighting and dying in Iraq. President Bush, speaking to veterans in St. Louis today, says they'll keep fighting if that's what it takes to win the overall war on terror.
Our only goal, our only option is total victory.
But as U.S. forces reach a milestone, Operation Iraqi Freedom enters a potentially troubling new phase. The mounting death toll underscores the fact that the military isn't just mopping up pockets of opposition fighters, it's facing determined resistance. Commanders say the only effective response is to keep going after rebels and Saddam loyalists. Today's raids north of Baghdad, labeled Operation Jimmy Hoffa, yield the arrest of suspected gang members. From the president, a vow to keep up the work here until the mission's accomplished.
There will be no retreat.
Opposition groups aren't just targeting U.S. troops. A new message airing from Islamic Jihad throughout the Arab world tonight says Iraqis who help coalition forces will also be marked for death. At the Pentagon, Grant Rampey, KTLA News.
Israeli helicopters fired missiles into a crowded street in Gaza City today in a failed attempt to kill Palestinian militants. Israeli forces targeted 3 operatives of the extremist group Hamas. The militants fled the car just moments before the missiles struck. A street vendor died in the attack and 26 other bystanders were wounded. Israeli tanks also moved through the West Bank town of Jenin today as soldiers searched for militants and for weapons. Israel has launched a renewed crackdown on militants following last week's suicide bombing in Jerusalem that killed 21 people.
A woman with a history of mental problems led police on a bizarre pursuit through the streets of downtown Los Angeles. Instead of trying to outrun police at high speeds, The suspect kept starting and stopping her car, sometimes right in the middle of intersections.
So she'll start and stop, and now she'll continue southbound. Might be making that left turn, and then again might just be stopping again.
The suspect made a habit of stopping and starting during the entire hour-long pursuit. It began on the Pasadena freeway, but quickly moved to surface streets. Police stayed behind the woman and watched as she inched forward along the road. When the suspect stopped, she would often talk with bystanders or to herself. She even yelled at police and the media covering the chase. After some erratic driving and a few near collisions, the suspect went back to a stop-and-go pattern. Eventually, she ended up on Figueroa Street. Crowds of people gathered around to watch the chase, and many came right up to the window of the car and started talking with the suspect. With police surrounding the vehicle, the woman's husband walked up to the car and tried to get her to surrender. Police eventually had to pull her out of the vehicle, and she was taken into custody. Her distraught family members had to be escorted from the scene.
No one was injured during that pursuit. The suspect is now facing felony evasion charges.
The United States Coast Guard resumed the search today for a television news cameraman from San Diego, whose helicopter is believed to have crashed into the Pacific Ocean off Encinitas. Now, there's been no contact with the 35-year-old man, Sean O'Kane, since late yesterday when he contacted the control tower regarding his altitude. O'Kane worked for television station KFMB in San Diego and had logged 70 hours in the air as a student pilot. Last night, search teams found a seat cushion from the leased helicopter about 1 mile offshore, but there's been no other debris nor any sign of Mr. O'Kane. And 2 commercial pilots were killed today when their commuter plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean off Cape Cod. The crew declared an emergency as the twin-engine airplane took off from Hyannis, Massachusetts. They wanted to ferry that airplane to Albany, New York. But the plane went down in 14 feet of water as the crew tried to return to the airport. The Beechcraft Model 1900 is a 19-passenger turboprop airplane, but the pilots were the only ones on board for this ferry flight. And just ahead here on News at 10, guns on board jetliners, a major controversy today, and airline pilots are furious.
Also, a man pulls a gun on television news reporters during a press conference. News at 10 will be right back.
The Spanish simulcast is brought to you by your Southern California Hyundai dealers.
Think big savings. Think big brands. Think Wednesday at Mervyn's Wednesday Only sale. This Wednesday, everything in the store is on sale. Plus, take an extra 25% off clearance with big savings for summer. Think the Wednesday Only sale. Think fast. Think Mervyn's. Big brands, small prices.
I'm terribly sorry. We seem to have overbooked. We do have one room left that I can give you for the same rate, but it's on a different floor.
Fine.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
You never know when an opportunity will turn out golden, like at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. You'll find incredible values on all your favorite Lexus vehicles.
Thank you again for being so understanding.
And an ice chicken?
See your Southern California Lexus dealer.
It's Oro Wheat, or nothing at all. Oro Wheat, bread perfected.
Closed captioning is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers.
A 2-year-old girl is home safe tonight after authorities say she was abducted by a family friend. Authorities say the little girl spent the night away from home after being snatched away from her mother in El Monte. Stan Chambers tells us what happened.
2-year-old Delilah Negretti is back with her parents after she was taken away by a friend yesterday. She is home after an all-night search and the tracking down of countless tips by the El Monte Police Department. This morning, officers answered a 911 call and she was found. She's in good condition, is happily in her parents' arms.
I just want to thank everybody for their help in finding my daughter. And I'm just happy that she's returned okay. She's safe and she was well taken care of. She wasn't harmed in any way.
What did Delilah do when her mother held her for the first time?
Yeah, she hugged me, she kissed me, and she gave me her candy.
The suspect brought the little girl to the home of some of her friends. They knew nothing of the kidnapping. They only knew something was wrong when little Delilah saw herself on television.
Thank you guys, because without the media, we were not able to do the recovery of the child. If you can picture a 2-year-old on her knees scratching the TV, wondering who's on TV, and turns out it was her face on TV. And it's just pure luck that we were able to find her.
The suspect, 23-year-old Crystal Mejia, took the little girl from her mother outside of this county welfare office in El Monte. She now faces kidnapping charges. From El Monte, Stan Chambers, KTLA News.
America's high school students showed significant improvement in their scores on the Scholastic Aptitude Test. The SAT is the nation's leading college entrance exam. The average cumulative score in this year's graduating class rose 6 points from 2002.
This growth, I believe, demonstrates that students and parents know more and more the importance of a college education.
On the verbal section of the exam, the national average of 507 is 3 points higher than last year. The average math score also gained 3 points to 519, and that's the highest national math average since the College Board began documenting scores in 1967. California showed similar growth, but scores here remain slightly below the national averages. A coalition of commercial airline pilots is calling on the federal government to train and certify more flight crews to carry guns in the cockpit. Congress approved the program last November, but the pilots group says the Transportation Security Administration has trained only 200 pilots to carry guns. They accuse the TSA of deliberately slowing the entire process, a charge the agency denies.
The current screening standards have been used by the TSA to deter pilots from volunteering for this program.
We believe that the great majority of those pilots who have raised their hand to volunteer will be able to be trained and deployed within a year.
Now, pilots who volunteer for the program take a week of classes, weapons instruction, and training in hand-to-hand combat at a federal law enforcement school in a remote area in New Mexico. Those who support the program say pilots are the last line of defense against would-be hijackers.
In Glendale, a home invasion robbery turned deadly, and now police are in search of a killer. The victim's son found the 63-year-old man unconscious at their home in the 1000 block of Dolorita Avenue. By the time the victim was transported to the hospital, it was too late to save him, and he was pronounced dead on arrival. The house had been ransacked, and the victim's car was missing. The 1997 Mercedes was later recovered in the 2700 block of Hermosa Avenue. At this time, police are not saying how the victim was murdered. Hundreds of women have been kidnapped and brutally murdered along the U.S.-Mexico border in the past decade, and no arrests have been made. But there is a new effort to stop the murders and find out who is responsible. Warren Wilson tells us about a study released today.
Why is there such a discrepancy in the numbers of dead bodies?
The number varies from 252 to 320, with another 400 women missing. The study says the victims were lured from the interior of Mexico to work in U.S.-owned factories, which were born out of the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA. Gaspar de Alba says the women had to undergo pregnancy tests, birth control, and face losing jobs if they became pregnant.
You see that their bodies are targeted viciously through their reproductive organs. Their breasts are cut off, they're raped viciously, Things are inserted inside them, they're cut open, their organs are extracted.
The report recommends creation of an international task force to explore the underpinnings of the crimes, better standards for body counting, more protection of workers by U.S.-owned companies, and financial support for survivors and orphans.
We have to think that these women make the products that we consume on a daily basis, that these women make us rich. Make this country rich.
She says the need is urgent and includes probing the possibility that the killings may be the execution of a governmental policy aimed at stopping the procreation of more brown babies in the U.S.-Mexican border town of El Paso, Texas. From the UCLA campus, Warren Wilson, KTLA News.
One of the biggest shocks I experienced upon returning from vacation last week was the price of gas. Just before I left town, I filled up. Well, I went to the same station on Sunday and paid 20 cents per gallon more. Upon investigation, I was told a pipeline problem was affecting gas in Phoenix. I said, this is LA. They're producing and refining fuel just around the corner. Other explanations I heard were demand is higher due to the upcoming Labor Day weekend. Well, clearly that's a fallacy. Labor Day is next weekend. Another explanation was gas here in California is specially formulated to fight smog and costs more. Well, that started years ago. Why the spike in prices now? Besides, it certainly is not working since the top 5 cities with the worst air in the country are all located here in California. Maybe we need a new formula for the gasoline. Perhaps the best explanation is the price of gas skyrocketed because the oil companies figured they could do it. A primary function of government is the well-being of its citizens. Don't you agree that at the very least, a state or congressional investigation into the price of gas at the pump is in order?
And still ahead tonight, the latest on a new policy outlining something on the job. You might not believe what it is. It's body odor.
And a wet and wild beach party gets into deep trouble. You'll see what happens next.
Coming this fall to the WB, in a town where secrets lay unspoken.
Just got our last name, Dad. People talk about it.
2 strangers share the same father.
That must suck having to see him around.
I never knew him.
One embraced in privilege, the other cast aside. One Tree Hill.
Premieres Tuesday, September 23rd at 9 on KTLA 5.
When I go into the schools, I'm very proud of what I do. I help kids learn to read.
We did a walkathon for juvenile diabetes.
I help feed the homeless in a soup kitchen every Saturday.
That's Walmart Good Works.
It's giving, it's helping, it's doing, it's giving back to the community.
I love to see their faces just light up.
Just knowing that you've helped that one person.
That I come home and I have a smile on my face, that's my day.
I'm very proud to be a Walmart associate.
We live here too, and we believe good works.
Whether you work in an office or at home, there's always something that has to get done. Just get your priorities in order. First things first, the 2003 Honda clearance. It only happens once a year, and it's gone before you know it. Now you can lease a 2003 Odyssey LX for $289 a month for 48 months. Life can wait. First things first.
You know what this family needs to do. Rip and dip.
You are so right.
Yeah, with Pizza Hut Twisted Crust Pizza, you'll be ripping and dipping, tearing and sharing. Let it rip. Look at that. Breadsticks baked right into the crust. First you rip, then you dip. You got it. You got it. You don't got it. Get a large one-topping Twisted Crust Pizza for just $9.99 with your choice of 2 dipping sauces. And let the ripping and dipping begin. You can only have fun like this when you gather around the good stuff.
Get great online-only deals when you order at pizzahut.com.
You don't do this in your daily lives, so why do you do it in your car? Courtesy is contagious, and it begins with you. Look for other important driving tips from the Auto Club. And in the meantime, drive safely.
The Health Report is brought to you by your Lincoln Mercury dealers.
A major victory today for gay and lesbian couples who work for Los Angeles County. The Board of Supervisors voted to extend the same death benefits to domestic partners as married employees of the county. 4% of the county's 3,600 employees are in domestic partnerships. The new benefits will cost the county an additional $2.2 million a year.
Well, the party's over for South Florida's biggest beach bash. You might call it, it's a victim of its own success. Every weekend, hundreds of boaters converge on Elliott Key in Biscayne National Park. They call the gathering Pachanga until the Miami Herald ran a feature on the floating party. The article drew the attention of state and federal law enforcement who raided the big event.
All of a sudden, the Coast Guard, the park rangers showed up, surrounded the boats, and came in with the dogs and guns in their strapped on their waist.
We wanted to break up the party and send a very loud message that this sort of activity will not be allowed at Biscayne National Park.
Organizers of the party face misdemeanor charges for holding the gathering without a permit. But even if they had gone through channels, park officials say they never would have issued a permit for so massive an event.
A tape of the 911 call that resulted in the arrest of singer Bobby Brown has been released by authorities in Georgia. Brown was arrested Friday at a seafood restaurant in Alpharetta. Authorities say an arrest warrant was issued after Brown violated his parole by failing to show up for court-ordered community service, drug treatment, and random drug testing. Authorities arrested Brown after receiving this phone call from an unidentified woman.
I need to find out, who I would call to report, somebody who's, wanted. Where are they wanted? Well, it's Bobby Brown. He's at the Atlantic Seafood Company in Alpharetta. So you like Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston's husband?
I know who you're talking about.
Police say Houston was yelling, screaming, and pointing fingers during Brown's arrest. A police sergeant says Houston was not charged with disorderly conduct because people often react that way when a relative is arrested. Bobby Brown is due in court tomorrow.
Mindy Burbano has the night off tonight. And in entertainment news, Oscar-nominated director John Singleton received the coveted industry honor today. The acclaimed writer, director of Boys in the Hood was honored with a star on the world-famous Hollywood Walk of Fame. Family members and film friends John Voight and Lawrence Fishburne were on hand for the unveiling. Singleton says he's happy to receive recognition for doing something that has always been his dream.
It's been my lifelong dream. If I wasn't a director, I don't know what else I would be. I would probably explode it.
And just down the street, we caught up with Chris Isaak and his bandmates of the House of Blues. Chris and his band Silvertone rehearsed for their two-day stay beginning tonight at the Hollywood Landmark. Earlier this year, Chris completed production on the third season of The Chris Isaak Show, and he's set to act in the new John Waters film shooting later this year. With all this stuff going on, Mindy asked him if he ever found time for himself.
I'm just trying to create that impression. I have a lot going on.
Is that the illusion to keep the intrigue and the interest alive?
I got a lot going on. You see me in the parking lot at the Shop and Save, or just hanging around there. I saw him on TV. He said he was so busy. What's he just hanging out here for? Hey, what's going on?
The comedian will continue touring the rest of the West Coast until September.
Ever heard the saying, deep in the heart of Texas, you just might find a piece of Iraq? Neither have we, at least not until now. Filming has begun in Dallas, Texas on the made-for-TV movie surrounding Jessica Lynch's dramatic capture in Iraq and rescue by U.S. troops at an undisclosed location about an hour north of the city. A construction team has built a replica of Nasiriyah, the Iraqi town where Private Lynch and her maintenance unit were ambushed. Now, the shoot is scheduled for 5 weeks, and producers hope to finish the movie in time for the November sweeps.
And from one movie set to another, Jackie Chan is full of moves, but apparently not when it comes to smooching. The action star was knocked for a loop when it came time to kiss Claire Forlani in the movie The Medallion. Instead of getting a little smack on the lips, Forlani grabbed him and gave him what he calls a big American-style kiss. Chan says Asian movie stars actually keep their mouths closed when they kiss. He says he was very surprised when Forlani opted for the open mouth technique. And that wraps up entertainment. So she got a little fresh with him.
Didn't know that was a technique.
A technique, it is.
Coming up next, a certain type of chocolate could have an unexpected effect on your body.
Also, watch as a news conference takes a terrifying turn. We'll be right back.
Labor Day is your last chance to grab the best values in America at the Dodge Summer Sales Drive.
Where you'll find our best products.
You've only got until September 2nd to grab our best deals. Up to $4,500 cash allowances or 0% APR financing for 60 months.
All with Dodge's 7-year or 70,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
Let us prove we've got the best values in America. The Summer Sales Drive ends Labor Day, so hurry.
Hurry.
Hurry to your Dodge dealer today.
If you're looking for a hot deal in Vegas, check Wednesday's LA Times weather page.
Vegas.com. It's who you know.
I just knew I was shopping wrong.
Desire, yes. Technique.
Jerry got me into close-out visualization. You know, just how to focus in. At Big Lots, I walked in the store with Jerry and I just stopped in the middle. There it was. It was beautiful. A $25 bra mixer for $9.99. It became mine. To never know your true potential? That's just sad.
Big Lots. Brand names, closeout prices, happy people.
Closeout shopping was in me all along. I know it's in you too.
What if someone left a chance to start over on your doorstep? Join Anna Quindlen, New York Times best-selling author, on a journey of love, family, and redemption. Blessings. Critics rave a gem of a novel. Blessings by Anna Quindlen, now in paperback.
This historic election has come about because there's a tremendous disconnect between the people of California and the leaders of California. We the people are doing our job, working hard, raising our families and paying taxes, but the politicians are not doing their job. We can do better than that. After all, we are California, always at the forefront of innovation. Our farm products feed the world, and our technology is second to none. I'm running for governor to lead a movement for change and give California back its future. I stand for fiscally responsible government, rebuilding California's economic engine, putting the needs of children first, and reforming our political system so that the public interest comes before special interests. I want to be the people's governor. I will work honestly, without fear or favor, to do what is right for all Californians.
Join Arnold and let's bring California back.
Phoebe's found her calling in phone sales.
Don't you dare hang up on me!
The new girl's good.
Next Friends.
Coming up next on KTLA 5.
And now a check on other major stories making news around the world. Mexico City, an investigation into human rights violations has government officials literally fighting with journalists. Government news conferences have turned violent in recent weeks, and one security guard punched several cameramen and then drew a handgun at a recent interview session. Mexican President Vicente Fox says the country has nothing to hide, and he promised the government would be more open to journalists in the future.
Beijing, diplomats from the U.S. and 5 other nations met in China in the hopes of finding a peaceful resolution to the North Korea nuclear crisis. The U.S. believes North Korea has at least one nuclear weapon, and they have demanded the country immediately halt its nuclear program. North Korean diplomats are asking for security guarantees and more economic and humanitarian aid.
In Miami, Florida, a leader of Colombia's deadly Medellin drug cartel was sentenced to more than 30 years in federal prison. Fabio Ochoa received amnesty in his home country after serving 5 years in prison, but later returned to the international drug trade. At one time, Ochoa helped smuggle 30 tons of cocaine a month into the United States.
Mexico City. Arizona Governor Jay Napolitano met with Mexico's President Vicente Fox to discuss ways to improve border security and the health of Mexican immigrants in the United States. At the meeting, an Arizona company agreed to share gene research and data with the Mexican government so they can conduct investigations into diseases on the rise in Mexico, including diabetes and stomach cancer.
Leading off tonight's report, boy, chocoholics are going to love this. There's evidence that eating dark chocolate can lower blood pressure. A very small study followed only 13 adults with untreated mild hypertension. Half were given white chocolate bars to eat every day. The other half ate dark chocolate. After 2 weeks of tests, it showed that those who ate dark chocolate had slight drops in blood pressure. Dark chocolate does have an ingredient that's also thought to be the heart-healthy part of red wine. So now you chocoholics can tell people when you're eating your delicious delicacy that you're lowering your blood pressure. Well, colorectal cancer is the second largest cancer killer in the United States, and yet the vast majority of cases could be prevented with early screening. But the question is, which screening test is best? An invasive colonoscopy is something most people, frankly, would like to avoid. As a result, more and more Americans are opting for the next best thing, a virtual colonoscopy. There are no tubes or wires passing through the intestine. Instead, X-rays called CAT scans peer inside the body. But that's where the virtual part ends.
The preparation is the same as one would have for a regular colonoscopy. They have to drink the laxative. And the virtual colonoscopy also requires putting some air and gas into the colon, which could be somewhat uncomfortable.
Research shows that the incidence of finding a polyp in a 50-year-old man or woman is about 30%. But if the polyp is found during a virtual colonoscopy, remember, it cannot be removed.
So the medical community is not recommending virtual colonoscopy as a screening test for several reasons. One is you cannot remove a polyp during the test. Two, it's quite uncomfortable and not covered by insurance. And three, there's a 20% miss rate.
So now you know. Finally, tonight's 10-second tip. During a thunderstorm, do not ever use the bath, shower, or use the phone. If your building happens to be struck by lightning, the plumbing can conduct electricity, as can some telephone equipment. That's your health and fitness for tonight. Lynette.
You know, Larry, we just had I was away for vacation last week, and we're in the Rocky Mountains. We had a thunderstorm there that was unbelievable. Winds of 60 miles an hour. And I remember my wife saying, stay away from the phone. Don't go near that phone.
Don't take a shower.
That's
stay
right.
away from plumbing.
You're not sure if it's a wives' tale, but apparently it's not. So
Oh, no,
it's not.
It's very true.
So your wife was right. Her tale was right.
That's right.
Of course, don't stand under a tree.
That's right. Okay, coming up next tonight, a warning about a deadly virus here in Southern California. We'll be right back.
The team is in place.
I'd like to make a withdrawal.
Everybody freeze! This is not a robbery. We are simply here to make a cash withdrawal for Pepsi Play for $1 billion.
Pepsi Play for $1 billion.
Live in 3 weeks on KTLA 5.
And keep your eye on Mr. Moneybags.
The Business Report is brought to you by Mercury Insurance.
The car of your dreams is waiting. The Infiniti G35, the G35 Coupe, and the FX, the SUV the New York Times said manages to steal Porsche's thunder. Visit Infiniti's limited engagement sales event. But hurry, with special APR financing on select models, the car of your dreams could be gone.
You're a con man?
Con artist.
Matchstick Man is deviously clever with a hip sense of humor. It's a 21st century version of The Sting.
How much you think we can take that guy for?
30 grand.
More.
$1 million?
Nicolas Cage turns in a tour de force performance with heart and soul.
I'm not very good at being a dad. I barely get by being me.
Director Ridley Scott has a wealth of tricks up his sleeve in this twisty caper comedy. Matchstick Man, rated PG-13, starts Friday, September 12th.
Hurry to Mervyn's Wednesday Only sale. Everything's on sale. Wednesday only at Mervyn's. Big brands, small prices.
To get through 4 years of college, you can order a lot of coffee to go, or you can order a lot of PC to go. Do schoolwork without being in school when you upgrade to a compact Presario with the mobile Intel Pentium 4 processor M. For only $9.99 after rebate, you get desktop power that goes where you go. So you can email photos, watch movies, burn CDs, and oh yeah, do schoolwork. Call today and get free shipping and compact desktops from just $349. When it really matters, choose compact.
You call it Labor Day. We call it drive away the quality of a new Buick Day. Now get golf and Labor Day bonus cash on the 2003 Rendezvous. Make your best model year-end deal. Then current Buick owners get an amazing $5,500 total cash back. Or choose $2,500 total bonus cash plus 0 APR for 60 months on Rendezvous. Labor Day bonus cash ends September 2nd. See your Southern California Buick dealer.
This segment is brought to you by Washington Mutual. Reject fake free checking. Open a truly free checking account at Washington Mutual with no monthly fees, no matter what your balance. Washington Mutual, more human interest. FDIC insured.
We have breaking news for you near Acton, where a family has been the target of a car-to-car shooting. It happened on the 14 freeway near Red Rover Mine Road in Escondido Canyon. A deputy say a car carrying 2 males opened fire on a second car carrying 2 adults and 2 small children. The vehicle was hit twice, but nobody inside the car was struck. The suspect's car is described as a dark blue or black late model Honda Civic 4-door. Deputies are also investigating whether the freeway shooting is related to another incident tonight in Palmdale. Health officials are asking people across the Southland to reduce outdoor water use. Not for conservation, but to fight the West Nile virus. Health officials say more efficient water use can help eliminate breeding grounds for mosquitoes and reduce the spread of West Nile virus. They're also encouraging consumers to check their property for breeding spots such as puddles from leaky pipes and malfunctioning sprinklers. Last Friday, scientists confirmed some mosquitoes in Southern California are carrying the potentially deadly virus, which can cause encephalitis and meningitis. Let's take a look at our weather picture now. And there certainly was disastrous weather just a little north of LA today.
Very serious. Let's see how the weather is shaping up this evening. Right now at the Civic Center, the temperature is 66 degrees. There is 90% humidity. The barometer is rising and winds are calm. The high downtown today topped out at 83 degrees. The overnight low slipped to 64. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:22 and sunset at 7:27. A rare sighting blew through Kansas City today. A dust devil was seen swirling through the streets. Strong surface heating usually causes these dusty flare-ups, which are generally smaller and, of course, less intense than a tornado. Usually they range from 500 to 1,000 feet high. Quite a sight. While our current satellite images show the wide range of sporadic showers that formed over California, Arizona, and Nevada this afternoon, a low-pressure system to our north is helping move some of today's moisture out of the Southland this evening. To our south, former Hurricane Ignacio is now a tropical storm, packing 35-mile-per-hour winds. While Ignacio has weakened, the storm is still pushing moisture up the coast. This combined with the monsoonal flow to our east, resulting in thunderstorms around the Southland this afternoon. Local mountains could see these continue tomorrow. In fact, thunderstorms and partly cloudy skies are expected to cover a good portion of our regional forecast. Phoenix is likely to be hardest hit by the showers, while Sacramento looks to be one of the lone bright spots out there. Now, we are expecting areas of dense fog to form overnight with lows remaining mostly in the 60s near the coast. Further inland, Big Bear bottoms out at 53 degrees. San Bernardino looks for a low of 69. Afternoon clearing should help keep temperatures hot in the Inland Empire tomorrow. Palm Springs tops out at 104 degrees. Elsewhere, Long Beach looks for a comfortable afternoon high of 83. San Gabriel reaches 92 degrees. And checking that 5-day outlook, everything is shaping up pretty nicely downtown. Morning clouds and fog are likely to move out by afternoon, allowing temperatures to rise into the upper 80s by Thursday and Friday. And that's a look at the weather.
I have a fascinating story for you from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, where it would be quite wise for some employees there to slap on some extra deodorant before reporting to work. The City Council has unanimously adopted a new policy regarding body scent for everyone on the city payroll. No one shall emit, and I'm quoting here, an odor generally offensive to others. The no BO measure drew a mixed reaction from some people in town.
If you work, you're going to perspire, you're going to smell. What else are you going to do? I mean, if they want to put air-conditioned suits on these guys, I'm sure they'll be much happier.
It's a good policy. People don't need to be offended by people that don't clean up.
Now, those who work outside say it's going to be difficult to comply with the new policy, especially in the summer when temperatures usually rise above 90 degrees and it's humid. The new rule does not define precisely what constitutes offensive body odor, but one city councilman says everyone will know it when they smell it. I guess that's probably true. Still ahead, your pooch could have it made with these shades, the latest eye-opening eyewear for dogs.
The 2003 California Edition Pontiac Grand Am SE has more power than Jetta GL, a larger engine, and better fuel efficiency. California drivers wanted more. Pontiac owners and lessees get a California Edition Grand Am SE for around $13,995 after total cash back. Or choose 0% APR financing. See your Southern California Pontiac dealer today.
Will you look at this? Cooper Tilson's latest documentary is about his new home.
What's all this stuff? We bought the house and the contents.
And it's pulling him into a mystery.
Oh my God.
Because the crime he's investigating is not only unsolved.
Do you know what you're getting yourself into?
It's unfinished.
Let's get out of here.
Dennis Quaid, Sharon Stone.
Get out of the house!
Cold Creek Manor, rated R, starts September 12th.
Find prices that can't be beat on fall fashions at the Robinsons May Labor Day sale starting tomorrow. Find Dockers for her and Dockers for him at prices that can't be beat. Men's Levi's are on sale, and so are great shoes at just $29.99. Get a free gift with any $25 Lancome purchase. Save 60 to 75% on summer clearance and use your extra 15% off entire purchase bonus coupons. Always something there to excite me. The Labor Day sale, only at Robinsons May.
Okay, so we've picked out the TV, the surround sound, and you already have the DVD player. Right. Okay, so my home theater question to you is this. Do you have a movie where stuff blows up?
It's all here. Circuit City has all your favorite DVDs, all at great low prices. And we're the first place to go for new releases every Tuesday. Stop by Circuit City this Tuesday and pick up The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers on DVD for just $14.99. Circuit City, we're with you.
Close a great deal now through Labor Day at your Nissan dealer.
The Sports Report is brought to you by Nissan.
Dogs in Germany can now look cool while keeping the summer sun's rays out of their eyes. A company in Munich has developed designer sunglasses especially for dogs. Adjustable straps keep the shades on the dog's head. A company spokesperson says the glasses provide 100% protection from ultraviolet rays. The goggle design also helps to block rain, sand, and wind. The cool shades come in 6 different designs and 3 colors: pink, blue, and yellow.
The Dodgers began a quick 3-game road trip in Houston tonight, and if this game is any indication of how the trip will wind up, they couldn't get home soon enough. You see, LA's won games this year for 3 reasons: pitching, pitching, and pitching. And tonight, they had none of them. The Dodgers got on the board unusually early. Top of the first, Fred McGriff takes Ron Vallone deep to right. A 2-run shot put the Blue Crew up 3-0. But tonight at Minute Maid Park, the Dodger pitching got juice. Tied at 3 in the third, and Jeff Bagwell unloads on Odalis Perez to put Houston up 4-3. Dodgers fans, cover your eyes. It gets worse. In the fifth, Jeff Kent, who homered earlier, triples to right field to knock in 3 of his 5 RBIs on the day, and the floodgates were opened. The Astros pound out 17 hits, shellacking the Dodgers 18-4. Philadelphia and Montreal. Philly had an 8-run lead, but their pitchers couldn't nail it down. The Expos exploded in the 7th behind a couple of RBI doubles by Will Cordero and Jose Vidro and beat the Phillies 14-10. Marlins and Pittsburgh tied at 2 in the 7th when Pirates catcher Jason Kendall gave the Dodgers a helping hand, driving a 2-run jack over the left field wall to give the Bucks a 4-3 win over Florida. Despite the Dodgers drubbing, they're still just 2.5 back of Philly and Florida in the wild card race. The San Diego Padres made some news off the field today by acquiring coveted outfielder Brian Giles from the Pittsburgh Pirates in exchange for promising lefty Oliver Perez and 2 others. And then the Padres sent all-star outfielder Rondell White to the Kansas City Royals for 2 minor league pitchers. Coming into tonight's game, the Angels had won 7 straight against the Minnesota Twins, dating back to Game 2 of last year's American League Championship Series. But that was then, and this is now. So whatever happened to the rally monkey? Would like to see him. Mike Scioscia can't seem to get his Angels out of this funk. Second inning, Denny Hawking bloops a single to center. Jacques Jones scores. Here comes Torrey Hunter, and he misses the plate. But Benji Molina doesn't know it. Hunter tries to hit the plate again, but Molina finally gets his man. 1-0 Twins after 2. 9th inning now. Check out Minnesota's strike him out, throw him out, double play to end the game. Brad Radke goes the distance, shutting out the Halos on just 5 hits. Twins win 3-0. The U.S. Open seems to be the place to say goodbye this year. Yesterday, we said a heartfelt farewell to tennis legend Pete Sampras, and today, the tennis world bid adieu to Michael Chang. In Flushing Meadows, Chang gave a valiant effort in the final match of his career, but was outplayed by Fernando Gonzalez of Chile. Michael Chang won 34 titles as an ATP member. That's 14th on the all-time list. Also in action, top-seeded Andre Agassi in the far court took care of Spaniard Alex Correia rapidamente in the first round, winning in straight sets 6-1, 6-2, 6-2. Andy Roddick and Jennifer Capriati also advanced to the second round. Olympic basketball and Team USA was looking to avenge last year's loss to Argentina. Mike Bibby to Tim Duncan, who throws down the one-handed dunk. The Americans remain undefeated in the Olympic qualifying tournament with a 94-86 victory. And one scheduling note, we're bringing the Rams back to LA for one night anyway. KTLA is replacing the 49ers-Chargers game Friday with this Thursday's game between the Rams and Kansas City Chiefs from St. Louis. And you can catch the action right here on KTLA at 5 o'clock.
Hey, that's great. Thanks very much for watching at the end of News at 10 for tonight.
Good night.